Now, if you've ever flown into Korea from a foreign country, you're probably no stranger to the nation's duty-free shops. But you may not be aware of the limits on the amount of goods you can actually buy tax-free. Well, currently, a Korean traveler can buy up to $400 in goods without paying taxes. But if you exceed that amount, you are taxed at 20%. And for goods categorized as luxury items, these include expensive watches and jewelry, you are subject to a 50% tax rate. That obviously doesn't sit well with consumers, but for the first time in 18 years, the Korean government is considering raising tax allowances for goods Korean citizens buy overseas. This is, in a bigger picture, part of the Park administration's deregulation drive. Now, for a closer look at this issue, let's bring in Dr. Byoung-joo, the head of KL&P Consulting and our regular commentator on this program. Good afternoon to you, Dr. Kim.
Good afternoon.
Now, I don't know if this is good news or not, but how can we put Korean consumers and their limit to duty-free shopping in terms of other nationals?
Yeah, I think that's a key question, and a lot of people are having that question in mind and not very happy about what the current system, how the current system operates. Actually, as you mentioned, $400 cap. You mentioned 18 years ago. That's measuring from 1996 when the limit was converted into US dollar. But the thing is, the origin was like 88. So 26 years ago, back in 1988, the cap was set at 300,000 won, which was at that time about $400. So if you trace back from all the way from 88, it's been 26 years. So a lot of people are unhappy about it. To answer your question, let's bring up some graphics here that will tell us a very interesting story. Of course, Japan is an outlier, I admit that. But if you compare with Japan, there's a big difference between where Korea stands and where Japan stands. The United States, for instance, well, their level is much lower than Japan, but still $800 is the cap. And where Korea stands right there is exactly what you're looking at. Third from the bottom in terms of the rank among the OECD member countries. Singapore seems to have extraordinarily low level there. I don't know how they manage it there. That's a separate question. And Mexico is after that, and Korea is number 3 in terms of the lowest levels of allowing the cap. And a lot of people are saying we have to go somewhere around the US level at this point, considering many different factors at this point. And of course, people are not saying we need to go up all the way to the Japan level. But as you can see on the screen quite graphically, where Korea stands seems to be a little bit outdated, to say the least.
No, I don't mean to say that I'm guilty of this, but $400 it can be quite a cap for those of us who travel overseas and come back.
Indeed.
And it's I don't know, it may be no wonder that violations are on the rise.
Indeed, the violations are on the rise big time. And we have prepared numbers for both the number of cases on one hand and then the size of the extra duty that's being imposed. I said it fines on the right-hand side, but I think I should have used extra duty that's imposed beyond the limits there. And some people may wonder why we had a lot more cases in 2012, but we have more extra duties on 2013. That probably means more expensive items purchased by foreign the travelers going overseas among Koreans here. And what's happening, what you have to notice here is that, okay, basically what Koreans are doing is we have different choices. We can purchase these goods from the Korean domestic duty-free shops and have them counted under that 400 cap. But more, what the authorities are saying is Koreans, because if you do so, you can be detected by the authority through your credit card transactions and all that. More Koreans are going overseas with their cash and then purchase these goods from overseas outlets, and that they say is no good. Then that's why there are increasing number of violations being detected, and they're suspecting those are actually what we are seeing what we were seeing on the right-hand side of the screen here. More people carrying their cash in the fear of detection, buying these goods from foreign department stores and different outlets, and then try to smuggle in and say, well, it's under 400 limit, lying basically. So they're saying that's not healthy one, and we need to do something about it. And they're saying this system, by having this 400 cap, is actually encouraging Koreans to lie to the authorities, and that's their argument for saying that this needs to be changed.
I think I might know the answer to this question, but do we see the majority of the Korean public in support of this the increase?
Are you saying that you belong to the majority?
I didn't say that. I didn't say that.
All right. But the view is overall $400 is quite unrealistic because that was set back in, as I said, 26 years ago, depending on how you count it. And since then, they're saying the per capita GNP has increased 5 times. And the overall inflation and price level has increased, has doubled. So they're saying this $400 level for sure is unrealistic and needs to be changed. Indeed, there is a draft proposal for changing the law sitting in the National Assembly, and a lot of people are saying that could actually come in to raise the cap from 400 to 800. But we'll have to wait and see what happens at the lawmaking body here. And
I'm sure there are those who oppose to this.
Oh yeah, indeed. Finance Ministry, according to the reports yesterday, were saying this is something we have to be careful about. This could be viewed as one way of deregulating, regulations. But they say this is benefiting only a few number of people, meaning 15% of Koreans who are traveling overseas. 85% they stay at home throughout the year. So they say this is something we have to be careful about. So indeed, even though lawmakers discuss this at the National Assembly, there could be considerable resistance to this.
All right, we'll have to wait and see how this one passes the National Assembly and become enacted. Right. Kim Byoung-joo, thank you so much for today, and we will speak to you tomorrow.
Okay, we'll do.